Gervonta Tank Davis, lie exposed. As I interview key member of Gervonta Davis's camp, Bill Haney, as well as key members of Gervonta Tank Davis's camp, and come to a conclusion that we know the real reason that this fight between Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney has not happened and most likely will not happen. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and if you have not seen it by now, we had a big interview take place on the channel about 3 days ago where Bill Haney, William E. Haney, the father, manager, president of Devin Haney Promotions, came by the channel and was asked questions by the audience and asked some questions of myself. And after that, I had another interview take place over on the Rise podcast, who are people that are out of the Upton gym where Gervonta Tank Davis fights. And the conclusion has been drawn, and I'm going to support my argument that this is a bunch of stuff that where this fight between Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney was not ever really a real thing. And the reason it is not a real thing is because Devin Haney don't want that fight. Now, before I get into the details of it, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. Now, as a precursor to this video, if you have time, I did a 7-hour live stream about 3 days ago, and let me pull it up, and the live stream was entitled Strange, Gervonta Davis tune-up against Frank Martin, Ryan still saying crazy, SHIT. It was done on March 12th of 2024, and it's a 7-hour live stream. It went so long because the interview starts, or the conversation starts, at about hour 250, 300. But you can see it for yourself. It's on the page. We actually broke down the tape the sparring tape between Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney that took place in Las Vegas that was leaked, and walked through frame by frame with Bill Haney. And it was a little bit painful. To me, it was a little bit of a cringy situation. However, he got on the channel and he asked me my opinion, and I gave it to him. And at the end of our conversation, we both agreed that, in essence, what Adrian Bronner had said was the truth. And that even though there was could be some speculation about whether or not a particular phrase that Adrian Bronner used, which was that he was out, whether that was true or not. However, everything else that was said was true, and every other claim that Bill had to counter it, or where his questions had been answered in the tape or by acquiescence of Adrian Bronner. So Bill Haney knew full well that his son got done up by Gervonta Davis. Also, we understand that this was the second time that it took place. Now, the Rise podcast was on that show, and they had seen the interview. And one thing that they added to the discussion was that when you look at the tape with Gervonta and Devin Haney, what they said is what you see really is Gervonta Davis not really going at Devin Haney as badly as he could have. And what they see is somebody that was was not at his 100% best. Now, why would they say that? They say that because we see Gervonta Davis. We've seen Gervonta Davis spar 1,000 times. And we know that that was not a good version of Gervonta Davis, which bolsters what Gervonta Davis said and Adrian Broner said, which was, look, they just jumped up off of a plane. He probably had a couple shots of alcohol and got in the ring cold, and that's what happened. So what are we left with? We left with a young man, 16 years old, and a young man, 20 years old, and who sparred 2 times, and both times the younger fighter, who, although very skilled, got beat up. And this is why I say that this is something where you're not going to see that fight, because I don't believe that that gap has closed. You now have a guy that is 28 and you have a guy that is 25, a 28-year-old and a 29-year-old and a 25-year-old. That age gap is not wide. That age gap is still one where you have somebody that has more experience and somebody now that is full grown and full size, but also doesn't necessarily mean that only Devin has gotten better and Gervonta Davis hasn't gotten better. And also Gervonta Davis knows some things about Devin from those 2 particular sparring matches. And Devin also knows some things about Gervonta, as in, if you engage with this dude with 16-ounce gloves on, you can find yourself, asleep or beat up very badly. And if you actually look at some of the tape going on, and I had replays or descriptions from other people about what happened, and they said that when Devin Haney was getting the better, it was because he was getting better behind a jab. Well, if you look at Gervonta Davis's fights, where people say he was losing rounds, like to Mario Barrios or to Leo Santa Cruz or to guys like some people even say Rolly Romero, what do you see? You see Gervonta Davis stalking somebody behind a jab, trying to stalk and get past their jab. And why would he have to do that? Because he's a short guy. But what he's done masterfully over the course of his career is eventually do that and get on the inside of somebody and hurt them. So the idea that Devin in 16-ounce gloves and headgear with a jab could keep his jab out in front of him, fighting on his back foot, and have some people think, okay, yeah, he did some work. Only problem is that eventually that lead foot for Gervonta is going to get in front of, and that's from the perspective of Gervonta, in front of the front foot of Devin Haney, and as a result get close enough to counter that jab with very, very big shots, which with 8-ounce gloves would probably stop him or have a very significant chance of stopping him. Also, due to the strength of Gervonta Davis, the relative physical strength of the two, be very difficult for him. Now, the biggest reason that this fight's now going to happen is because Devin Haney is not in that weight class anymore. Devin Haney is a full 140 pounder if he's not already a full 147 pounder. So it more than likely is not going to take place. The reason that I think it's important to talk about this, though, is because people are continually trying to tie each of these guys' legacies to each other. It's just not going to work. They're not tethered together. That is an attempt by Devin Haney fans to diminish Gervonta Davis, or just anti-PBC fans or anti-Gervonta Davis people to tether anybody to Gervonta to say, well, look, we see what he's done. We don't care what he's done. He needs to do more. He needs to fight Lomachenko. That very well may be true because they're in the same weight class. He needs to fight Shakur Stevenson. That very well may be true, and I think it is true because they're in the same weight class. But he doesn't have to fight Jaron Ennis. The truth of the matter is that it is going to be Devin Haney that is going to be running into Jaron Ennis. It is Devin Haney that very well may eventually wind up running into guys like Virgil Ortiz. He is somebody that could very well. He's a guy that needs to run into Teofimo Lopez, somebody that needs to run into those guys that he's running into Ryan Garcia, but Subriel Matias, the guys in 140 and the guys in 147, because that's the size of the fighter that he is. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.